Hello everyone and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel.
Following Hayes' shocking kidnapping, Steffy made a courageous 7-word statement. After Hayes Finnegan is kidnapped, Steffy Forrester may say 7 words. Let's examine the dramatic situation that awaits us. Steffy may make a noble offer to Luna Nozawa in her fight to protect her son. Out of control Luna will prove that she is capable of everything. The fact that Luna targets a little child will show that she is capable of anything. Luna is clearly obsessed with her half-brother and wants to include Hayes in her next scheme. Let's discuss Luna's 2 strong reasons for taking advantage of Hayes for her own ends for a moment. In order to demonstrate to Steffy what it's like to have a parent out of reach of their child, Luna first wants to give her a dosage of her own medicine. According to Luna, Steffy is still the one who is making John Finnegan turn against her. Luna accuses Steffy of being unfaithful to her father, Finn. Luna plans to keep Steffy away from Hayes in order to make her feel the anguish because she believes Steffy is to blame for her alienation from Finn. It goes without saying that Luna is aware of Steffy's intense love for her kid, which she probably views as the ideal leverage point. Depending on how the kidnapping plot develops on BNB, Hayes might be the bait in Luna's plan. Luna may watch from a distance as Steffy slips into a panic as she probably proceeds with the plot to abduct Hayes. Before eventually contacting Steffy to confirm that she has Hayes, Luna might take pleasure in making her uncomfortable for a time. The brave 7 words of Steffy. Steffy might perhaps find the strength to say the 7 words we hinted at, "I'll do anything for Hayes' safe return." Since Steffy is aware that she is Luna's actual enemy, she may promise Luna that she can treat her whatever she pleases as long as Hayes gets home safely. So, without telling Finn or anybody else, Luna might tell Steffy to meet her at a specific location. Until Luna's demands are met, Hayes may be detained in a safe place, perhaps under Remy Price's watchful eye. Meanwhile, Steffy might face Luna by herself in a titanic battle, opening the door for Finn, Liam Spencer, or perhaps Sheila Sharp to arrive for a spectacular comeback. The quiet stillness of the cliffside Forrester estate was broken only by the rhythmic lapping of the waves and the rustling of the wind through the foliage. Inside, Steffy Forrester Finnegan stood frozen in place, her entire being sinking into a storm of disbelief and anguish, her heart pounding violently as if trying to fight its way out of her chest. Her worst nightmare had materialized before her eyes. Hayes, her sweet, innocent boy, had vanished without a trace. And in that shocking moment, a name, Luna Nozawa, burned into her consciousness with unrelenting clarity. The clues, the tension, the strange encounters, they all led back to Luna. What once seemed like harmless tension between family members had now erupted into a dangerous obsession with terrifying consequences. As Steffy grappled with the gravity of the situation, her maternal instincts surged with overwhelming force, guiding her next move with laser focus. Her voice cracked with emotion as she finally found the strength to whisper to herself, and eventually to the world, those searing, powerful 7 words, "I'll do anything for Hayes' safe return." Those 7 words weren't simply a desperate mother's cry, they were an oath, a war cry, a declaration of unconditional, sacrificial love. For Steffy, everything had changed in that single moment. Nothing else mattered now, not business deals, not family drama, not even her complicated history with Luna or the delicate dynamics between Finn, his birth mother Sheila, or her former flame Liam. Hayes was her heartbeat, her everything, and now he was gone, plucked from her life in a twisted act of revenge fueled by a young woman spiraling dangerously off course. Luna, once seen as a well-meaning, if misguided, relative trying to find her place in the Forrester-Logan world, had revealed a dark side no one had truly anticipated. Her obsession with Finn, her half-brother, had taken a darker turn ever since she convinced herself that Steffy was the sole reason she couldn't establish a relationship with him. Luna's resentment festered until it became a weapon, and now, Hayes had become collateral damage in a war Luna never should have started. Steffy's mind raced back to the beginning, replaying the subtle signs she had dismissed, Luna's forced smiles at family dinners, the lingering glances toward Finn, the moments when she seemed to bristle whenever Steffy spoke about her marriage or her family. Luna had always expressed her hurt over being distanced from her father, and though Steffy had sympathized at times, she had also maintained firm boundaries. She protected Finn, understanding that while he deserved to connect with his newfound family, not every reunion was meant to be seamless or instant. But Luna didn't see things that way. In her mind, Steffy was the obstacle, the one constantly pulling Finn away, the gatekeeper who had closed off access to a part of her soul she desperately needed to heal. And in her twisted logic, making Steffy feel the same kind of heartbreak, parental distance, fear, and loss, was a form of poetic justice. So Luna took Hayes. It was a deliberate act, planned and cruel, intended not just to hurt Steffy but to prove something. And yet, as dark and unhinged as her actions had become, Luna wasn't completely cold. She hadn't hurt Hayes. In fact, it appeared she had made arrangements to keep him somewhere safe, perhaps with Remy Price, a name that had recently re-entered the canvas as a wildcard character with ambiguous loyalties and mysterious intentions. Remy, with his complicated past with both the Finnegans and the Forresters, had long lived in the shadows, but his sudden reappearance now made chilling sense. Was he helping Luna out of some misguided debt, or did he have motives of his own? Either way, Hayes was in the hands of strangers, and Steffy was willing to go through hell and back to retrieve him. When Luna finally reached out, an encrypted message sent via a burner phone tucked into a box of Hayes' favorite snacks left on the front porch, Steffy knew the game had truly begun. The message was clear: meet her alone, no police, no Finn, no Liam, no one. And Steffy didn't hesitate. Despite every voice around her urging caution, pleading with her not to walk into danger unarmed and unsupported, she simply repeated her 7-word mantra: "I'll do anything for Hayes' safe return." Those around her realized she wasn't just mouthing platitudes, Steffy meant it. This was a woman on fire, fueled by pure maternal adrenaline and an unshakable resolve. She prepared to face Luna alone, perhaps the only way to de-escalate the situation without putting Hayes at greater risk. As she drove toward the location Luna had chosen, an abandoned cabin once owned by the Forresters, hidden deep in the woods beyond Malibu, memories flooded her mind. She thought of the day Hayes was born, the first time he grabbed her finger, the late-night feedings, the silly songs, the stories she'd read him as he drifted to sleep. She thought of Finn's joy holding their son, of Kelly's laughter when playing with her little brother. These weren't just memories, they were reasons. Reasons to be brave, reasons to keep moving forward, reasons to fight like hell even in the face of the unknown. When she arrived at the cabin, Steffy's hands trembled only for a second before she steeled herself. The door creaked open, and there stood Luna, not wide-eyed and panicked, but eerily calm, almost serene. It was the kind of calm that comes from believing you've won, from thinking you've outmaneuvered everyone and now hold all the cards. "You came," Luna said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Steffy didn't waste time with pleasantries or questions. She repeated her vow with fierce clarity, this time to Luna's face: "I'll do anything for Hayes' safe return." And Luna believed her. Luna laid out her terms, ones that weren't just logistical but emotional. She wanted Steffy to walk away from Finn, to publicly claim that their marriage was over, to make it appear as though she no longer wanted to share a life with him. Luna's twisted logic dictated that once Finn was no longer under Steffy's influence, he would finally be free to bond with his half-sister. It wasn't about romance, not quite, but it wasn't entirely about family either. It was about power, control, and Luna's desperate craving for emotional validation. She believed that if Finn could just see Steffy for the manipulator she was, he'd finally accept Luna into his heart and life. Faced with this horrifying proposition, Steffy had a decision to make. Sacrifice her marriage? Lie to her husband? Tear her own family apart, all for the safe return of her son? And yet, for a mother, there was never really a choice. Hayes was everything. Steffy agreed to Luna's terms, insisting only that Hayes be returned first. But Luna, ever distrustful, demanded that Steffy make the announcement first, live, on social media, a very public declaration of heartbreak and separation. Back at the Cliff House, Steffy staged the heartbreaking video. She held back tears, her voice cracking, her soul quietly breaking as she delivered a rehearsed monologue about growing apart from Finn, about needing time, about choosing different paths. Finn, watching the video from the hospital, was confused and devastated. But deep down, he sensed something was terribly off. This wasn't Steffy, not really. He knew her too well. And so, while Steffy prepared for the next phase of her terrifying ordeal, Finn, Liam, and even Sheila Sharp, motivated by an unlikely maternal instinct, started putting together the pieces. As Luna prepared to hand over Hayes, she received an alert: one of her surveillance feeds had been compromised. Someone had found Remy's location. In a panic, Luna tried to flee, taking Hayes with her once more, but this time she wasn't fast enough. Sheila and Finn, arriving moments apart, confronted her in a tense standoff. Sheila, shockingly, took charge, using her own knowledge of psychological manipulation to talk Luna down, appealing to the young woman's fractured sense of family and identity. In an act of unexpected grace, Sheila managed to convince Luna to release Hayes unharmed. Steffy's 7-word vow became more than a plea, it became a turning point. It demonstrated the depth of her love, her strength, and her willingness to endure pain for the ones she loved. And in the end, though bruised emotionally, Steffy emerged victorious. Her family was whole once more, though the scars of this ordeal would linger. Luna, meanwhile, was taken into custody, not with handcuffs and sirens, but through a compassionate psychiatric hold, her actions recognized not as pure malice but as symptoms of deep, unresolved trauma. Steffy, ever the complicated heroine, didn't pursue revenge. Instead, she focused on healing, on pulling her family close, and reminding Hayes every single day just how loved he was. The 7 words she once uttered in desperation would echo forever, not only in her memory but as a mantra for strength, courage, and maternal love under fire. Brooke's choice, Hope and Carter's roadblock, and Hayes' chaos are missing. While Hope Logan and Carter Walton deal with a possible obstacle, Hayes Finnegan is in disarray. Here's what BNB fans should expect as Brooke Logan struggles with a decision as well. To begin with, Brooke will need to make a choice now that Nick Marone has returned to her life. Brooke will need to determine how many rejections from Ridge Forrester she can handle, even if she isn't ready to jump with Nick just yet. Perhaps it's time for Brooke to make the same decision she did once before. Maybe Brooke will be able to let go of Ridge and the reunion objective she's been holding on to after Nick's visit. That would give Brooke the opportunity to reflect on her life before spending so much time in Italy with Nick. Look for Nick and Brooke's romance to blossom during their next excursions, as there will be special episodes highlighting Naples and Capri in late July. Naturally, Ridge, who isn't as done with Brooke as he may believe, will become envious of Nick. In the upcoming episodes, we'll see more sequences that set up Ridge's pursuit of Brooke, which will also be a part of the drama in Italy. Hope and Carter may also have to have a difficult talk during the week of June 23rd to 27th. Carter and Hope will need to talk about Steffy Forrester's wish to bring Daphne Rose back to Los Angeles. Hope won't be thrilled by the prospect of this strongly smelling intruder returning, but Carter might persuade her that Daphne is no longer a problem. Hope might reaffirm her dedication to Carter and concur that their love is more powerful than anything Daphne could possibly try to destroy. Nevertheless, Hope and even Carter might harbor some hidden worries. Naturally, because Luna Nozawa appears to be about to kidnap Hayes, we should also talk about her evil schemes. Steffy will be furious about her son going missing if Luna is successful in stealing Hayes from the beach house. At some point, Steffy will undoubtedly come to the startling conclusion that Hayes is in serious danger. After that, everything will depend on what Luna requests. Given that Steffy would stop at nothing to ensure Hayes returned home safely, Luna will have the advantage. Luna may get the opportunity to force the last confrontation with Steffy, and she will undoubtedly be prepared for it. Liam Spencer and John Finn Finnegan might have their own freakouts at some point. If Sheila Sharp receives updates about Luna's unsettling behavior, the same is true. The sun hung low over the Pacific Ocean, casting long shadows across the shimmering sands of Malibu, but there was no peace to be found in the Forrester world, no calm before the storm that was about to rip through the lives of all who dared to love, betray, or hope. It began with a single ripple, the eerie silence at the beach house when Steffy Forrester called out for her son Hayes and received no response. Her voice, once filled with warmth, now trembled with growing panic as she called again, louder, more urgent. But the still air yielded nothing but the crashing of distant waves. Hayes was gone. The toy truck he'd been playing with just hours earlier lay abandoned near the patio door, and Steffy's world spun wildly out of control. She raced through the house, calling Finn, calling security, calling anyone who might help her piece together the unthinkable. Her son had vanished, and the only clue was a scent in the air, familiar, floral, and unsettlingly sweet. It was the unmistakable fragrance of Luna Nozawa. Once considered a quiet, enigmatic force within the Forrester fold, Luna had transformed into something far more dangerous, a woman driven by obsession, secrets, and a vendetta that no one had seen coming. While Steffi pieced together the horrifying realization that Luna had likely taken Hayes, Luna herself was already miles away, clutching the child in the backseat of a black SUV winding through the Santa Monica hills. She whispered reassurances to the sleepy boy, her mind racing not with guilt but with resolve. Luna believed this was the only way, her way to get what she wanted, her way to end the pain, the lies, the rejection. Hayes, innocent and unaware, was her leverage, her last card in a game she'd been losing for far too long. But Luna didn't count on Sheila Sharp catching wind of her plan. From the moment whispers of Hayes' disappearance reached Sheila's ears, the woman with a dark past and even darker instincts sprang into action. Though Sheila had been cast out and scorned by Steffi and Finn, she still felt the blood bond pull toward her grandson. And so, like a shadow on the edge of the storm, Sheila began her own hunt, one that would intersect fatefully with Luna's path. Meanwhile, Hope Logan stood at a crossroads of her own. In the sleek, glass-lined office at Forrester Creations, she faced Carter Walton with a weary smile and heavy eyes. Their relationship, once full of promise, passion, and whispered dreams, now stood shaky on the precipice of change. Carter had just delivered the news. Steffi wanted Daphne Rose to return to LA, ostensibly for creative collaboration, but Hope saw through it. Daphne wasn't just a stylist or muse, she was a ghost from Carter's past, a woman whose presence could stir doubt, jealousy, and regret. Though Carter swore that Daphne was no threat, that what he and Hope shared was stronger than any past connection, the unease lingered. Hope's heart was still bruised from years of romantic misfires and heartbreak. She'd trusted men before, trusted them to choose her, to stay, but that trust had so often come at a cost. Still, she nodded, fighting to believe Carter's assurances even as a small voice inside warned her not to ignore the signs. "I want to believe you," she said softly, her fingers brushing his. "I want us to survive this." And Carter, always the noble one, promised they would. Yet neither could silence the doubts that hovered like smoke in the distance. Elsewhere in Los Angeles, Brooke Logan found herself swept into a tempest of her own making, caught between past and present, love and liberation. Nick Marone had returned, older, wiser, still as infuriatingly charming as ever, and with him came the flood of old feelings. Their past had been messy, tangled with desire and pain, but now, as they sipped wine on her Bel Air terrace under the golden sunset, the tension between them felt different. There was no ridge, no scandal, just two people with shared history and a spark that hadn't quite died. And yet, Ridge still loomed large in Brooke's heart. How many times had she run to him? How many rejections had she endured, believing that someday he would finally choose her for good? Nick saw the struggle in her eyes and didn't push. "You don't have to decide tonight," he murmured, voice low, "but maybe it's time to choose yourself again." His words echoed as Brooke lay awake that night, torn between nostalgia and possibility, wondering if Italy, with its winding streets, golden light, and stolen kisses, might be the perfect place to rediscover herself, and maybe, just maybe, let go of Ridge once and for all. As the days wore on and the search for Hayes intensified, the ripple became a wave. Finn and Liam Spencer, each grappling with their own guilt and fury, teamed up in a rare moment of unity, determined to bring the boy home. Steffi's grief turned to rage, and her fury ignited a firestorm when Luna's whereabouts were finally traced. The confrontation that followed was explosive. Luna stood her ground, Hayes shielded behind her, and demanded answers, demands that left Steffi reeling. Luna wanted power, revenge, validation. She claimed the Forresters had ruined her life, cast her aside, and now she wanted what she believed was hers. "You took everything from me," Luna hissed, "so I took something from you." The scene, a crescendo of emotions, ended with Luna's arrest and Hayes' rescue, but the emotional wounds would take far longer to heal. Back at Forrester Creations, the fallout from the chaos seeped into every corner. Hope, witnessing the lengths people would go to for love, reevaluated her relationship with Carter. Was their love built to last, or merely another castle made of sand? Brooke, heart heavy but eyes clear, boarded a plane to Italy with Nick, ready to let the wind guide her for once. And Ridge, ever the tortured romantic, watched her go, only then realizing that perhaps she wasn't his to keep anymore. The drama in Naples and Capri would be breathtaking, with love rekindled, secrets confessed, and old flames reignited under the Mediterranean stars. But even as one chapter closed, another was poised to begin. The Forrester family, shaken but not shattered, began picking up the pieces. Hayes, safe in his mother's arms, returned to the beach house that now bore scars of trauma and fear. Steffy, once again reminded of life's fragility, vowed to protect her son at all costs. Finn, torn between loyalty to his wife and his complex connection to Sheila, faced an emotional reckoning that would change the course of their marriage. And Luna, locked away but unrepentant, left behind a legacy of chaos that would ripple through their lives for months to come. As summer stretched on and Italy's magic wove its spell over Brooke and Nick, Los Angeles buzzed with quiet speculation. Would Brooke return as someone new? Would Ridge finally move on? Would Hope and Carter's love weather the storm of Daphne's return, or would it crumble under the weight of doubt? And most hauntingly, what had Luna meant when she whispered to Hayes, "This isn't the end"? In the world of the bold and the beautiful, peace is fleeting, love is never simple, and the next twist is always just a heartbeat away. Stay tuned.